All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. All right, before I get going on this video, this band here, Super Vintage, they are from Greece. This is Stavros Papadopoulos, lead guitar player, who I talked about the other day. This is his band or one of his projects, and it is totally super vintage. If you like the Black Crows, the Outlaws, or even Humble Pie, this thing is a beast, and you should check it out. It's not for everybody. Again, it's guitar slinger rock. The vocals are very rough, almost a little like ZZ Top, I would say. But you can check it out for yourself, courtesy of Grooveyard Records. It's also streaming on Spotify and YouTube and the usual places. Super Vintage. Guardians of Tradition. Yeah. All right. So speaking of Humble Pie, Peter Frampton. What's up with Peter Frampton not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And you would think that with Frampton's medical issues right now, that the Hall of Fame would have a little bit of sympathy and say, you know what? We've ignored this guy completely. I don't even know if Peter Frampton has been nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yet. Every year or every other year, a band like MC5 gets nominated. And you know that I have many bones to pick with the Hall of Fame and their committee, right? They've been doing a little bit better here and there, but then you've got like Dolly Parton, and she gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I like Dolly. I don't know if I like Dolly, with Rob Halford singing a duet. I know there are a lot of people out there that are just like, oh yeah, Jolene with Rob Halford, that was cool. I'm not one of those people. I don't know why. I like some order. I don't like chaos. There are people out there that like kind of this dichotomy where one artist performs with another artist that are on two different planets, basically, and they bring them together, and everybody's like, "Oh, isn't that cool?" To some degree, it's interesting. It's like watching a car accident and doing the whole rubbernecking thing. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Alison Krauss, Robert Plant, that kind of works. All right. Some people like it more than I do. I don't dislike it. I think that's pretty cool. But getting back to Frampton, right? You've got all these people who are being put into the Hall of Fame. Some people who aren't rock and roll. Let's just be frank here. And I've said this numerous times on this channel. But Frampton's body of work is fairly impressive. And co-founding Humble Pie, let's just say this, Humble Pie, if they put Humble Pie into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that would make sense to me. Now, are there more deserving artists? Sure, but Humble Pie is like the spirit of rock and roll, and so many things kind of mashed together with soul and blues and rock and jam band and psychedelic stuff, maybe even to just, if you go back through all of their material, you're going to find a ton of great music there. Now, it's not super mainstream, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, depending on who the person is they're putting in, and sometimes this becomes a personality issue, they'll put someone in there who they agree with or who they think is kind of like this rebellious character. Now, Peter Frampton, he is this mild-mannered guitar slinger, so he doesn't fit that, And then his album became like a popular thing based on the people. The people put Frampton Comes Alive high on the charts. They're like, you know what? We like this music. Start playing this. And radio stations responded. And they couldn't avoid Frampton Comes Alive. All of those solo albums that Peter had released prior with the studio versions of these songs, that didn't get a lot of action for him, at least here in the United States. But it laid the groundwork for this amazing live album And I look at the 70s and you've got Frampton Comes Alive, Waiting for Columbus, Live Bullet. Okay. I would put those three together and say they're both inspired works. The audience was electric, the playing, the production was clean and big and full. And what Frampton did was he allowed live music to be part of the normal listening experience. Just that pioneering moment, I think, makes for an obvious choice for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, you can knock Frampton after that. The record label tried to make him into a pretty boy. You know, he had all the hair back then. He had the open shirts and he's on the album covers and it's all hair. And here's a guy who I think really appealed to a male audience and they're just kind of pushing him to a female audience, like I'm in You. I mean, okay, not a bad song, but this was kind of not what people were probably expecting after Frampton Comes Alive. And then his career kind of nosedived after that, but he had some great songs like Can't Stand It No More, Breaking All the Rules from the early 80s. Nobody plays it anymore. Lying is one of my favorite lost classic songs. Top 5 on rock radio, kind of skirted the top 40, had a great keyboard riff in there. And at that point, you know, Frampton had gone full 80s and he still looked good. He still sounded great. He was still playing as good as he's ever played. And you can just tell that he was getting a lot of bad breaks in his career. I think David Bowie actually rescued Peter and said, hey, dude, you're really good. You should go out on tour with me. And I think Frampton was actually David Bowie's guitarist for a while, but he should have been a solo act. After Frampton Comes Alive, all you got to do is play most of that album and play a few songs that aren't on that album, and you've got a pretty long and impressive concert. Do you feel like we do? You could play that one song and say, good night, everybody, right? And that would be enough. But I don't know if it's because people have a short memory or they don't appreciate Frampton's vocals. I don't know what it is. And I'm thinking, okay, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, influence with his guitar playing, influence with Humble Pie, influence with this historic live album, which quite honestly, I mean, as much as I like Waiting for Columbus, the energy on Frampton Comes Alive is just insane and really can't be duplicated. Even into the 90s, Peter Kept Trying, A Day in the Sun, just one of my favorite Frampton songs from 1994. At that point, he got some rock radio spins on it, but the industry had pretty much changed and Frampton had nowhere to go. And so many artists like him had nowhere to go after that. So, as far as his career since then, playing live, putting out live albums, putting out more studio recordings, he's got an incurable disease right now. It's a condition which, again, is progressing as time goes on. And again, do I think the Hall of Fame should consider Frampton because he's got this condition? Yeah, a little bit. I think, if you can garner a little bit of sympathy from the Hall of Fame, why not? And doing the right thing, saying, look, we put in a lot of people that maybe shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but they're not thinking this way anymore. They're thinking about quotas and they're thinking about just representation from different groups and different styles rather than, is this guy worthy of the Hall of Fame? It's not merit-based as much as it used to be. Let's just be honest. What's weird is the politics line up. Peter Frampton's politics, which I don't really like, line up perfectly with the politics of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So again, it's kind of bizarre that he's not in there. Same thing with Warren Zevon, right? Now, again, I'm not going to go too political on anybody here, but you would think Warren Zevon would be in the Hall of Fame based on his political leanings. And maybe they're just thinking, nah, Warren doesn't have the body of work. And I think he does. And with Peter Frampton, he definitely has the body of work. He definitely has the influence on a couple of different levels. This to me is a tragic omission. And you don't even have to like Peter Frampton to admit that, okay, what is going on here? I mean, he exemplifies that spirit, sort of that appealing to the level of others where they're thinking, okay, the guitar work is great, the music is great, the songwriting is great. He's on their level. He's on your level as a fan. All right. He should be on their level as people who are saying, does this represent what we are at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I don't know how Peter Frampton doesn't check every single box, even the political boxes, which I wish he didn't check, but he does. So in any event, this is one of the big omissions. And the sad truth about Peter Frampton and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is it doesn't appear that's going to change anytime soon. I'm hoping somebody will see this video and share it. It's kind of a Captain Obvious thing, though. It's not like I'm breaking any new ground here by saying that Peter Frampton should be in the Hall of Fame. Duh. Okay, Captain Obvious. What else have you got for us, you know? Yeah, Foreigner should be in. Styx should be in. Kansas should be in. The Guess Who should be in. In fact, Randy Bachman, you could do like the War on Randy Bachman video, and I may eventually do it. I mean, between BTO and the Guess Who, it's just flabbergasting. It's like, really? This was the soundtrack to people who grew up in the 70s. BTO and the Guess Who? I mean, Peter Frampton? I don't know. Maybe they have a bias against the 70s. You know, the 70s were kind of like, hey, we're going to tone it down a little bit. We're not going to be as crazy and rebellious as people were in the 60s. We're not going to sing about crazy stuff. We're going to be more relatable to more people. And of course, that might be the problem. I don't know. But Duran Duran just got in, right? Were they being all controversial? No. They're just a good band. Are they better than Peter Frampton? I don't know. I don't think so. And Peter Frampton's been around for a lot longer. And then, of course, Humble Pie. Let's bring them back in. So anyway, folks, before I go, one more plug for Super Vintage. Just like the spirit of Peter Frampton, man. Super vintage, good music. Guardians of tradition. These guys get it, but the Hall of Fame doesn't have a clue. All right. See you soon.